Hey everyone, welcome back to a new art tutorial today. So today's tutorial is about using powdered charcoal and how to create depth in pictures using powdered charcoal instead of pencil. So I use powdered charcoal quite a lot on my portrait drawings now, just because it's quicker, it's more efficient. I feel like you get better coverage, it looks smoother, it blends easier. So I'm going to show you how to use that today. Seeing as the last season of Game of Thrones is out, I thought I would do a picture of Emilia Clarke. What I've actually done, so what I would usually do if I was doing a portrait, I would draw the outline of the image that I'm going to do and also some of the key details, and then I would start using the charcoal. Just to quicken it up for me today, I've just printed off an outlined picture of her so that I can show you a bit quicker than having to actually draw it all out. So it's literally just the outline, and you can add bits in later, you can make it darker, everything like that. So we've got the basic outline here. The next thing I'm going to do, because the charcoal can just get everywhere, I usually get another piece of paper and draw around the outline of her and have that over it so that I don't get charcoal all over the background. So I'm just going to hold that up to my window, draw around the edge and then cut it out. Okay, so there we go. I have my bit of paper that will cover the blank bits there. So you can just attach that together with safety pins, or I've just got like hairpins here, and I'm just going to make sure it's in the right place. Just pop these around, and that will just keep those white areas really white because I find they just get everywhere. So you want to use a really smooth paper for using charcoal, just because it will pick up the grain of the paper quite a lot. So I'll put some links to some good paper that I find really smooth. Obviously for today I'm just using printer paper because I printed this off. But if I was doing a commission or a portrait drawing for someone, I would use some artist paper. So I'll put links to some really good smooth paper that I think works well with this. The brushes that I'm going to use, now I would suggest using makeup brushes because I actually find them smoother than using paint brushes. These are Lydia Professional. I've got this one which is a thicker one, slightly thicker one, and then this one which is a slightly thinner one. So I guess this is like an eyeshadow brush here. And it's very thin, very soft, which is great for picking up the powdered charcoal. Now to start off, I usually just darken the whole image in general. Now I've got two types of erasers that I use. I've got a really thin one here, which is Tombow Mono Zero Elastomer Eraser. And this one I've used for so long, it's a really fine one. And it's great for picking bits out of the hair and things like that. And then I've also got a bigger one, which is an electric one here from Derwent, and you can just hold down, and that is great at getting them out. So I'll show you how to use them in a bit. This is the powdered charcoal that I use. It's called Provilia's Cretacolor. I'll put a link to this one. But yeah, what I do, so let's just open that. So keep this as like a palette kind of thing, and you can drop like excess powder on it if you're sort of doing little bits and you're not sure how much you want on your brush. You can just keep that as a little bit there. So I'm just going to go over the whole thing with a really sort of fine look. So again, just brush that over. Don't worry if it looks dark because you can lighten it up. Now I think I'm going to leave her top for now because it is white in the picture. So I'm going to leave the top for now. So as you can see, it's already so much easier than using a pencil to darken it up. I find that a pencil just takes so long to get the shade up, to get the right shade and to get the depth right. This is just such a quicker way, I find, to build up the tone. I wish I'd learnt this ages ago, really, because it would have saved me a lot of hours shading sections. But let me know what you think, if any of you use the same kind of techniques. It'd be good to know. Every now and then I just blow it just to get off any excess that is hanging around. As well, try not to touch your picture much, because even the moisture from your hands can pick up the charcoal and make that section darker. So you can use a thicker brush if you're doing a really large piece, but I quite like to not go too heavy. Okay, so I'm quite pleased with that right at the minute. That's just, you know, built up a bit of the tone, and now I'm going to go in and sort of do more detailed sections of it. So if you need to, if there's a large section that has already got some charcoal on it, like down here, and I want to start working up here, then I will just sort of put another sheet of paper down whilst I'm working, or you can use greaseproof paper. Okay, so this time I have got a paintbrush. It's a very thin paintbrush because I want to do some details in her eyes. So I'm going to use this one. You want to make sure it's quite a fine nib there. And you don't need to use loads of powder in this section. Maybe get a tiny bit of moisture on the brush just from even using your fingers. You don't want to put water on it or anything, you just need it to have a little bit of moisture when picking up the charcoal. So I'm going to start by doing her eyes. I always like to do the eyes first because I feel like if the eyes are wrong, you kind of might as well start again. So I've got some charcoal here, I'm going to pick that up. And I'm going to start by doing her eyelashes. So you're kind of just pushing the charcoal into the paper, which is why you need that little bit of moisture on your paintbrush, because otherwise it will just kind of blow off. I'm sorry if you're hearing noise in the background at all. I've got builders at my house at the minute, which is a little bit annoying, but we work with what we've got. And just blow it every now and then just to get off any excess, because it can look darker than you actually think, and then it's not quite what you want. So as you can see, that's already, actually I'm going to zoom in. Okay, so I've zoomed in a bit just so that you can see it a bit better. We're just building up some of the shading here. And when there's any dark bits, just pick up quite a lot of charcoal and then you can kind of use all of that, so you don't have to keep putting your brush in the pot. And you can just see like how smooth of a finish you get, which is great. We're just picking up some of the shadows down here. You can already see sort of how much more 3D it's looking. And I like to go in after with a black pencil, but the main bulk of it is done just with the powder. So obviously the lips are going to be a lot darker, so I would just get quite a lot of charcoal on your brush and just press that in. And you might need to do this a couple of times because when you blow, half of it will come off. So just use quite a bit on your brush, press that in. There is some light and reflection in the lips, but I am going to do that with the eraser. So for now I'm just going to go over the whole thing. So I'm probably going to use my fine eraser here and just make sure there's no weird sections on it there. And I'm just going to take out a tiny bit. And I would leave like the more detailed bits to do with a pen after, so don't worry about getting in too much of the detail because she's got sort of like creases in her lips and things like that, and obviously with a paintbrush can't really create that bit. Probably going to use the eyeshadow brush now because it's a bit thicker, just to sort of do some of the bits around her lips, chin, her nose and her cheeks. I like to build up the tone gradually, because it's better to be too light than too dark, because you can always add more. And carry on with this eye now. So I'll put that over that bit there. Some of the colour here. Doesn't even need really that much, because you've already got the tone in the background, which has worked well. So I'd love to know if you guys enjoy watching these kind of videos, because most of the time I get feedback sort of saying they prefer the abstract videos, but it's quite nice to do something different. So if you enjoy seeing these kind of videos, let me know, just so that I know whether to do more of these kind of tutorials, or whether just to kind of stick to the abstract stuff. So nearly done on this eye. Just adding a little bit more here. Can kind of find the more you overwork a section, the more it will like sort of drag the charcoal around like bits that you don't want to. So I would keep messing around to the minimum, just from experience. So next I'm going to work on the hair, and for that I'm going to use my bigger brush, just because it's going to be easier. And then I can use the eraser to take out bits that I want to be a bit lighter. So I'm just going to go like direct into the pot. I should keep the pot, I might zoom out a bit actually. There we go. So I'm just going to keep the pot here and probably use direct from it. And because she has quite a bit of shading in her hair. And this way of doing the hair is actually just so much quicker than using a pencil to do hair. It just takes half the time, and I'm just picking up sections that in the photo are a bit darker. And because we've already placed that base colour down, it doesn't actually really need much else. So I'm just kind of picking up sections here, and instead of using the brush to wipe it away, just blowing it away. And some here. So it's got quite a dark bit here, which I might need to accentuate with black pencil, just because it's quite a lot darker than the rest of the painting. And I don't want to put too much charcoal in one area. Again, it's a little bit messy, sort of blowing charcoal around, so just make sure you're like in an area where you don't mind blowing a bit of powder around. So really, the bits that you want really dark, I would dab there. What needs, those are the sections that really need the charcoal pressed in a bit more. And I'll use the thin one to neaten out the line here. Okay, so I'm quite pleased with that. Now what I'm going to do is, like I said before, I'm going to use a black pencil just to finish it off. So that's just because the charcoal won't be able to get that sort of really pitch black dark colour. So I like to use Faber-Castell black, which is number 9201199. I'm just darkening up the bits that need sort of really pitch black colour. Just like the eyelashes and things like that. You can also use pen, black pen, if you really want it sort of pitch black, but I'm usually fine with a pencil. And then just her eyebrows a lot darker. You can just use it to create texture as well. So that's that eye. You can already tell it looks a lot darker. And I think this bit just really finishes off really, but I'm not doing much. Just sort of outlining the really dark bits, and that's it really. The charcoal's done the rest of it. You can just create some of the texture in the lips by drawing some of the creases. It really doesn't need that much, the hair. Just a couple of like dark lines here and there really. And I think this is the only bit that the charcoal kind of fails on, is getting that really rich, deep, dark colour. But you know, that's fine, that can be added like I'm doing now after, but it takes away that whole time consuming bit where you're, you know, constantly shading the skin, and I find you get the lines quite easily. You see the lines, which I don't think is that nice on a picture. I think we're done now with the picture, so I'm going to take this background off because I'm going to need to use the eraser on some of the background just to sharpen the edges off. Here we go. Okay, let's just take that off. So there we go. And I'm just going to use this around any sections that just need to be sharpened off. So there you have it. That is the finished product, done with powdered charcoal and a makeup brush. So I'll probably do another video on how to protect your charcoals from smudging and smearing across the page once you've finished it, because there is a couple of different methods and I'd like to do a video on it. So but for now, that's it finished. I hope you really enjoyed this tutorial. I know it's slightly different from the usual kind of videos that I do, but if you enjoyed it, please give me a thumbs up, and also please hit the subscribe button for more art tutorials in the future. But for now, have a good day guys. Thank you for watching. Bye!